Good evening, I'm David Brown, and welcome to the Northern Sun Experience. All season long, Sioux Falls has been the cream of the crop in NSIC football. Heading into this past weekend, the Cougars were the only undefeated team left in the conference, as well as the number 2 seed in the initial Super Region 3 rankings. But USF had one of its toughest tests on Saturday as they visited Minnesota State in Mankato. The Mavericks dominated USF last year in Sioux Falls, so payback was definitely on the Cougars' minds. But they would start off on the wrong foot. Ricky Lloyd to Shane Zylstra, great diving catch, 20-yard touchdown, 7-0 Minnesota State. It's 7-3 late in the second when quarterback Luke Papillion executes the read option to perfection. Wide open lane for the 2-yard score. Sioux Falls up 10-7 at halftime. In the third, Cougars extend the lead. Papillion to Josh Angulo, 8-yard strike. USF is up 17-7. Later in the third, Papillion would put the game out of reach. Off the read option, spins out of one tackle, bounces off another, and finds his way to pay dirt. 25-yard run. Sioux Falls gets its revenge and tops Minnesota State 24-14 to remain a perfect 9-0. Although head coach Jed Stewart says revenge wasn't on his team's mind.
We didn't talk about that. I mean, it's enough pressure to come in on the road and beat a team like this, so you don't even bring it up. You just prepare for what they do, and that's all we did, is just had a great week of practice and just do what we do.
Oddly enough, Sioux Falls could use some help from Augustana. A Vikings win over Winona State would clinch the NSIC South title for the Cougars, but the Warriors get on the board first. Jack Nelson to Abe Volkert, 17 yards, 7-zip Winona State. Augie comes right back down on its next drive. Trey Hyde to Jake Barcher, 2-yard score, and we're tied at 7. A couple of field goals give Winona State a 13-7 lead in the fourth, when Hyde keeps it himself on the draw. 5-yard touchdown, extra point no good, however, so we're tied at 13. Winona State marches deep into Viking territory and goes ahead on this short run from Paul Preston. Extra point is good, 20-13 Warriors with 1:25 to go. Vikings facing first and goal with 24 seconds left when Hyde eludes the pressure, rolls to his right, finds Matt Heller for the 5-yard score. The lead is down to 20-19. An extra point will tie the game, but Lucas Wademan's kick is blocked. It looks like Winona State will escape, but the Warriors get a penalty for leaping. That moves the try to the 1-yard line, giving Augie another chance. And with only 1 yard to go, the Vikings decide to go for 2 and the win. Hyde rolls to his right, can't find anyone, so he cuts back to the left and gets in for the 2-point conversion. An unbelievable turn of events. Augustana's up 21-20. But it would get even more unbelievable after this. Last play of the game, Winona State has to go for the Hail Mary to the end zone. It's caught by Cameron Johnson, but the refs say he bobbled it. Incomplete pass. Take another look at it. Just my personal opinion, kind of hard to see if the ball moved as Johnson was rolling down. It honestly looked like a catch to me, but unfortunately for Winona State, the call stands. Augustana escapes with a 21-20 win, and Sioux Falls wins the NSIC South Division title. When we come back, we'll check in on the NSIC North teams with playoff aspirations, including Bemidji State, hoping to bounce back from a tough loss at UMD with a road victory at St. Cloud State.
The Northern Sun Experience on Midco Sports Network is presented by Sanford Orthopedics and Sports Medicine and Dakota Land Honda.
Welcome back. Bemidji State's playoff chances took a hit last week after a shootout loss at Minnesota Duluth. But the Beavers have been a resilient team all season long, overcoming injuries and other adversity. BSU knew it needed to just keep winning, and that journey started Saturday at St. Cloud State. But the Huskies get on the board first. Jaden Huff with the 8-yard run, 7-0 St. Cloud State. Bemidji State would respond, however, with 48 unanswered points. Jordan Hine rolls to his right and finds Jawan Richard, who turns back inside and finds some space. 35 yards to the house. Beavers up 28-7 at halftime. In the third, Hine using his legs, eluding defenders for the 8-yard touchdown. And then he'll continue to air it out in the fourth. Hine with a dart over the middle to Blake Holder, 47 yards. Beavers roll over the Huskies, 48-7. Minnesota Duluth currently 4th in the Super Region 3 rankings, hoping to remain steady at Minnesota Crookston. Bo Bofferding with a short touchdown run, and it's 6-0 early. Next Bulldogs possession, they take to the air. Drew Bauer up top to Jason Baltz, nothing but green in front of him, 74 yards to the house, 13-0 UMD. Later in the first, Bauer shows why you should never give up. In the grasp, he throws a backwards pass to Bofferding, who jukes the defender and does the rest. 15-yard touchdown, 19-zip Bulldogs. It's 26-0, but the Golden Eagles are hanging tough. Nathan Cole to Adam Connett from 12 yards out, and it's 26-8. Later in the second, Cole takes advantage of a one-on-one matchup, lobbing it up for Rod Stewart, and he won't be stopped. 88 yards to Paydirt, and it's 26-16. But the Bulldogs would prove to be too much down the stretch. Bauer rolls to his left, plants and fires to Kenyon Phillips, 269 yards and 3 touchdowns for Bauer. Minnesota Duluth over Minnesota Crookston, 54-23. So last week we had 4 NSIC teams in the top 10 of the Super Region 3 rankings: Sioux Falls, Minnesota Duluth, Bemidji State, and Winona State. The Warriors have dropped out, but the other 3 remain. Sioux Falls stays at number 2 with a perfect 9-0 record. Minnesota Duluth, despite their win, falls to number 5 in the region. Strength of schedule plays a large part when you have schools from different conferences, so that's why the Cougars have stayed at 2 and why the Bulldogs probably fell. Meanwhile, Bemidji State moves up to 8th, just 1 spot out of the postseason. We'll see if the Beavers can inch closer in the final 2 weeks. Other Saturday football action included Northern State at U-Mary. Wolves already up 7-zip in the second and adding to it. Christian McIlvain with a 4-yard run to double the lead to 14. Later in the second quarter, McIlvain does it again, finding some space off the left side for his second touchdown run. Northern State's up 21-0. Last play of the first half, McIlvain shows off his precision, lobbing up the Hail Mary right into Zach Barber's breadbasket, 44-yard touchdown. It's 28-0 at that point. Wolves take down the Marauders 52-7. Minot State visited MSU Moorhead. First possession for the Beavers, Ben Zonizer, 18-yard touchdown. Kid's been tearing it up the past few weeks. 7-zip Minot State. Move to the second, Dragons now up 14-10. Demetrius Carr going up for Damon Gibson, cuts back inside for the score, 37 yards, 21-10 MSU Moorhead at halftime. The lead is still 11 in the fourth when Carr finds a wide, and I mean wide open Hunter Broughton, hunting for the end zone. 74 yards makes it 35-17 Dragons. MSUM puts it away later in the quarter. Austin Stone rocking his way down the left sideline, 37 yards. Dragons over the Beavers, 42-24. Southwest Minnesota State hosting Concordia St. Paul. Mustangs running up early. Max Simmons 10 yards out, 7-zip SMSU. Later in the first, Blake Gimbel looking to pass, but finds a great lane in front of him and takes advantage. 13 yards to make it 14-0. 14-7 now, still in the first. Gimbel lobs it up to his favorite target, Nate Hewitt. A great catch, stays in bounds. 21-7 at that point. Mustangs take care of the Golden Bears 28-14. Back and forth affair between Wayne State and Upper Iowa Saturday. Jalen Amos with a leaping grab in the back of the end zone. Peacocks up 14-7. 14-10 now in the second. Dimitri Morales back to pass when the sea parts and he runs on through. 15-yard run makes it 21-10. Next Wayne State possession, however, Wildcats run right back into it. Alex Klein coming right at you. 35 yards, lead down to 21-17. Back come the Peacocks. Ryan Parmley's short touchdown makes it 28-17, Upper Iowa. Wildcats won't back down. Zach Osborne and Nate Rogers' 7-yard strike cuts it to 28-24 at halftime. Third quarter, Morales continuing the deal, finding Trey McTaggart, 9-yard touchdown, 35-24 at that point, and the Peacocks hold on for the 35-30 victory over the Wildcats. So Upper Iowa gets its third win of the season, and their reward is undefeated Sioux Falls. The 9-0 Cougars host the 3-6 Peacocks at noon on Saturday, along with Augustana at Concordia St. Paul. Starting at 1, several teams with a shot at the Mineral Water Bowl kickoff, with Minnesota State at Wayne State, along with Southwest Minnesota State at Winona State. Bemidji State will host MSU Moorhead. St. Cloud State will visit Minot State. Minnesota Crookston travels to Northern State, and U-Mary is at Minnesota Duluth. When we come back, some shakeups in NSIC volleyball and a preview of the NSIC soccer tournament. Welcome back. Since the beginning of October, Minnesota Duluth volleyball has held the #1 spot in the national coaches poll. But in a league as competitive as the NSIC, the Bulldogs know full well that position can change in an instant. Although they were expected to be just fine last Friday as they hosted unranked Sioux Falls. First set was a struggle for the Bulldogs, however. But Allison Ollie hammers it home. UMD takes set 1, 25-22. Second set, however, advantage Cougars. The setup off the right side for Bria Barfneck, throwing it down. USF takes set 2, 25-23. Third set continues the close match. Sydney Shop to McKenna Rockman, rocking it for the coup. Sioux Falls wins the third set 26-24. Minnesota Duluth would tie things up in the fourth. Cross-court kill from Sydney Mock. Bulldogs force a fifth and decisive set, but the Cougars would complete the upset. Barfneck's kill is too hot to handle, and Sioux Falls goes into Duluth and upsets the #1 Bulldogs 3-2. The very next night, #1 UMD had to face off with #2 SMSU, and the Bulldogs were more than prepared. Taylor Wisbrocker with the kill off the left side. UMD takes set 1, 25-22. Second set, Mustangs keeping it close, but the Bulldogs pulling away. Emily Torvey to Sarah Kelly. UMD takes set 2. Set 3 would be a back-and-forth affair, but the Bulldogs save the tough comebacker, and Mackenzie Morgan ends the match. Minnesota Duluth rebounds with a 3-0 sweep of Southwest Minnesota State. Concordia St. Paul hosting Northern State on Saturday. Wolves take control early. Ashley Roselle sets up Kelly Schmidt for the kill. Northern wins set 1. On to set 2. Concordia using some defense. Emma Lang and Sarah Masick teaming up on the block to tie things at 1. Roselle and Schmidt were on offense for Northern State in set 1. They team up for the block in set 3. That gives Northern State a 2-1 lead. Golden Bears even things up in set 4. Anna Schlake with the kill off the left side. In the fifth and decisive set, the home team would prevail. It's Schlake once again with the point. Concordia survives set 5, 17-15, and wins the match over Northern State 3-2. So with the results of the weekend, we have a new national #1, and it's Concordia St. Paul. Minnesota Duluth drops to #2, while Southwest Minnesota State falls to #4. Winona State, Augustana, and Wayne State remain at 6, 7, 8. Northern State falls from 13 to 14. Meanwhile, the NSIC Soccer Championships got started on Wednesday, and it was all chalk through the first round. #1 seed Minot State got past #8 Upper Iowa. They'll take on Augustana, who won their 4-5 matchup with Minnesota Duluth. #2 Minnesota State topped #7 Northern State, and the third seed Bemidji State defeated #6 St. Cloud State. So Friday afternoon, it's Minot State versus Augustana and Minnesota State versus Bemidji State, with the NSIC Championship on Sunday afternoon. When we come back, a feature on former Bemidji State wide receiver Ryan Welly, who used his time as a student athlete to find his way back home. Welcome back. Throughout the 2016-17 season, the NSIC will continue to name more athletes to its 25th anniversary team. And in the spirit of this weekend's conference soccer tournament, this selection is our first one who made her name on the pitch. Congrats to former Winona State soccer star Holly Sutton. During her career in the mid to late 2000s, the #2 came to define her. She was a 2-time NSIC Player of the Year, 2-time Division II All-American, and she's second all-time at Winona State in total points with 106. But she's at the top of a very important category with 14 career game-winning goals for the Warriors. Since graduation, Sutton has spent some time coaching high school soccer, as well as some time on the Winona State coaching staff. Well, sometimes it takes a journey to arrive back home. And for one former Bemidji State football star, the family business was the last thing he wanted to do until it became one of the few things that mattered. In tonight's Under the Northern Sun alumni feature, hear how Ryan Welly took a challenge from an academic advisor that led him back to where he started.
Ryan Welly was a wide receiver at Bemidji State University from 1998 to 2002. He left the Beaver football program as an all-conference honoree and the team's all-time single-season receiving yardage leader.
My role is I caught the ball. When it was thrown to me, that's about the extent of it. And fortunately, I caught more than I dropped. But more importantly, what made us so strong is one, you have Eddie Costa in the backfield. There's just a huge, huge force and still holds every record imaginable for a running back by a lot. And so you have defenses that want to focus on him. But at the same time, you have on wide receivers of Jason Ledeen, Ben Woodford, Jeff Rothman, that you have to respect because they can hurt you just as badly if you don't pay attention to them. So defenses, they wanted to focus on Eddie, but they couldn't cheat. So it just opens it up for everybody.
Welly was a part of the foundation of Beaver football and a member of the 2000 team that set the program's record for wins at 9.
When you win, and obviously life's always a lot more fun. But more than anything else, we just had some really fun teams, great group and collection of guys, great coaching staff. It every day you're out there playing with your brothers, for lack of a better way of saying it, and putting up a lot of points and having success. So I mean, it was just a chance of a lifetime in a lot of ways.
Ryan he's just a good, hard-working kid, number one, blue-collar type of mentality, and just was a leader even back when he was younger. Gave his heart and soul to the program and put the team first, just like you would expect a good leader to do.
Welly may not have been the most gifted student or athlete, but his work ethic set him apart.
Ryan was really motivated. I think he wasn't the highest regarded recruit probably, and if you look at the same time frame you had Eddie Acosta from the same high school, so by the time he got to be a senior, he was pretty close to equaling what Eddie was doing in the backfield, and really was probably a big reason why Eddie was able to get all those yards, because Ryan was blocking and doing some of the dirty work what we were doing back then.
There's no doubt Welly knew his role on the football field, but he also knew at an early age what his role in life would be.
My mom likes telling the story about when I was in preschool, right? So teachers going around and asking all the kids what their favorite toys are, and everyone's giving their candid answer of G.I. Joe or Barbie and this and other thing, and my response at that time was money. And so, finance and banking, it's been a part of the family, my family, for a long time. Great-grandfather was in banking, my dad's in banking, number of uncles in banking, and it's just something that always intrigued me. I kind of told you about I always knew which direction I wanted to go and how that worked as a detriment to me at times. And so when I'm getting my general eds, it was one of those cases. I did not try that hard my first 2 years of college. And I was having some success on the field. But at the time, the offensive coordinator, who was kind of the academic advisor for the team as well, we're just kind of meeting one day and we're talking about it, and he was looking at my grades and he goes, you're average. You're absolutely average. And as soon as you allow this mediocrity to creep into this side of your life, it's going to be that much easier to allow mediocrity to fall into the other side of your life. And at that point, it was a real eye-opening experience for me. Someone had never been that frank or blunt with me. And the first time anyone has ever really called me average, and the distaste that it created in my mouth, propelled me, I think, as an athlete to a whole nother level, but more importantly as a student to a whole nother level. So I mean, part of the success that we had, we all knew we weren't going to be going on to the NFL or anything along those lines, but we wanted to be successful, we wanted to win, and so we were truly committed to the program. So it required a lot of attention and dedication to the craft, but at the same time knowing that we didn't have the luxury of playing on a Sunday, and so we had to focus on the studies as well.
As a member of a prominent family in a small community, there are those who may have expected Welly to jump into the family business right after graduation. But he had other plans. Just like on the football field, he was looking to prove himself.
I didn't want something to be given to me, right? And so, I mean, it was time for me to kind of go on and prove to myself that I could do the things that I always thought that I could. And so I took a different path, and I went out to Ann Arbor, Michigan, and tried to make it out there for a while. Followed my girlfriend at the time, basically, and got into a job, but ultimately we wanted to get back into Minnesota, and so we ended up taking a job with U.S. Bank, and I was there for a few years, enrolled to get my MBA at the University of St. Thomas down there, and then shortly after that switched over to Bremer Bank. And when I left Bremer, roughly 6.5 years later, something like that, we left as a vice president of commercial lending. So I had some success on my own, and at that time my wife and I were expecting our second kid and had the ideas of trying to get back to a smaller town, and then where is there an opportunity within a smaller town, and was fortunate enough that there was an opening back here in town with a cousin of mine looking to retire, and we decided to give it a shot. Always wanted to strive, always wanted to be competitive, always wanted to outdo the next guy is, I would say, honestly, the biggest thing that made me successful here as a student athlete as well as professionally.
It's fun to have that type of person run around in the community that you can not only talk football, but just he's a good friend and just a good person.
When we come back, it's DB's Picks, my top 5 plays of the past week in the NSIC.
The Northern Sun Experience on Midco Sports Network is presented by Sanford Orthopedics and Sports Medicine and Dakota Land Honda.
Welcome back. It's time for DB's Picks, my top 5 plays of the past week. At number 5, Zach Barber continues to be a cut above. Off the reverse, he lobs the pass back to Christian McIlvain for a big gain. Take another look, McIlvain to Shaka Kelly to Barber, who uses his left hand to find McIlvain for 26 yards and the 5th best play of the past week. For number 4, it's the first of 2 amazing catches from Minnesota State. First, Shane Zylstra going up with the left hand against Sioux Falls. Here it is again, the pass is a little high from Nick Piracini. Number 84 grabs play number 4 with this fantastic catch. At number 3, it's more Maverick magic with another left-handed catch, this one from Taylor Johnson for the touchdown. Unfortunately for Minnesota State, their catches came in a loss to Sioux Falls, but even with that one defeat, 2 lefts are good enough for plays number 3 and 4. For number 2, it's a 2-point conversion from Jersey 2. Augustana's Trey Hyde looks right, cuts back left, and gets in for the game-winning 2-point conversion against Winona State. The Vikings got to try their attempt from the 1 after Warriors penalty, and number 2 made him pay. But our number 1 play, it's Sioux Falls' Luke Papillion, splitting 2 defenders, spinning off another, bouncing off a final one, and making his way to the end zone. An unbelievable effort by one of the best runners in the conference. Papillion has the Cougars primed for a playoff run, thanks to runs like this one for the top play of the past week in the NSIC. Once again, a thank you to all of our NSIC member schools for their time, video, and contributions. We'll be back next week right here for yet another Northern Sun Experience.